Have you ever watched a man dig his own grave with nothing but his tongue and a misplaced sense of superiority? There's a particular painful kind of silence that fills a room when someone attacks a predator they mistook for prey. A silence so heavy you can hear the ego shattering before the bones do. Welcome back to Tales of Wonder. If you enjoy stories about instant karma, hidden masters, and the satisfying crunch of arrogance meeting reality, do yourself a favor. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We upload the stories the algorithm doesn't want you to miss. Now, let's begin today's story. The Silver Crane Dojo was not what it used to be. You could smell the decline the moment you walked through the sliding wooden doors. It didn't smell like sweat, victory, or burning incense anymore. It smelled like dust, damp wood, and financial desperation. Located in the forgotten corner of the city's old district, the building was a relic of a bygone era, squeezed between a 24-hour laundromat and a vape shop that played techno music loud enough to rattle the ancestral swords on the dojo wall. The master of the house was Kenji. Kenji was 35, had bad knees, and carried the weight of 4 generations of martial heritage on shoulders that visibly slumped. He was a good man, technically proficient, but he lacked the fire. He taught martial arts like he was explaining how to file taxes, rote, necessary but devoid of spirit. His students were mostly hobbyists, a few office workers trying to lose weight, 2 teenagers whose parents forced them to go, and an older gentleman named Mr. Henderson who just liked wearing the pajamas. And then there was Madam Lin. If you looked at the Silver Crane Dojo, you wouldn't even register Madam Lin as a person. You would register her as part of the furniture. She was a tiny, curved woman, perhaps in her late 70s or early 80s. It was hard to tell because her face was a map of wrinkles that seemed to smile even when she was frowning. She wore a faded gray cleaning smock, hair pulled back in a bun so tight it looked painful, and she moved with a shuffling gait that suggested her hips were made of glass. Madam Lin wasn't a master. She wasn't an instructor. As far as anyone knew, she was just the woman who came in to mop the floors, refill the tea urns, and scold the students for leaving their shoes misaligned in the gin can. She had been there longer than Kenji had been alive. She was there when Kenji's father ran the place. She was there when Kenji's grandfather ran the place. She was the constant variable in an equation of diminishing returns. On this particular rainy Tuesday, the atmosphere in the dojo was heavier than usual. The students were stretching on the tatami mats, but their eyes kept darting to the entrance. They were nervous. Kenji was pacing back and forth in front of the shrine, his knuckles white as he gripped his belt. The reason for their anxiety was a matte black luxury SUV that cost more than the dojo's entire building. Enter Victor, the Viper Vance. If you follow the underground fighting circuits or the flashy, overproduced world of social media MMA, you know Victor. He was the embodiment of modern combat arrogance. He was 6'3" of pure, engineered muscle, covered in tattoos that screamed for attention, with a bleach blonde buzz cut and a smile that looked like it cost $10,000. Victor didn't just fight, he branded. He destroyed traditional dojos for content. His YouTube channel, Vance Violence, had 3 million subscribers who tuned in to watch him expose traditional martial arts as fake nonsense. He didn't come alone. He never did. He walked in with a cameraman, a sound guy, and a hype man who held a portable speaker blasting trap music. "Cut the music," Kenji said, his voice trembling slightly. Victor ignored him. He kept his sunglasses on, scanning the room with a look of utter disgust. He stepped onto the tatami mats without taking off his shoes, the ultimate insult. "So this is it?" Victor boomed, his voice echoing off the peeling paint. "This is the legendary Silver Crane? It smells like my grandmother's attic." The cameraman circled him, getting the low angle to make Victor look like a god. "Take off your shoes," Kenji demanded, stepping forward. He tried to project authority, but he looked like a substitute teacher trying to control a prison riot. Victor looked down at his designer sneakers, then looked at Kenji. He grinned. "Make me." This was the dynamic Victor thrived on. He wanted the anger. He wanted the sloppy, emotional reaction. Kenji bit the hook. "Get out of my dojo." "I'm not here to leave, Kenny. I'm here to buy." Victor laughed, pulling a folded document from his back pocket. "My team sent over the offer this morning. This land is prime real estate for a parking lot for my gym down the street. We're offering you enough to retire to a nice little apartment. But first, I have to show my fans why this place deserves to be a parking lot. He tossed the paper at Kenji's feet. Then, he signaled the cameraman. We live? All right. What's up, guys? It's the Viper here at the Silver Crane Dojo, about to show you why ancient wisdom gets you knocked out in the real world. Kenji had no choice. Honor demanded he defend the floor. He assumed a classic stance, hands raised, breathing rhythmically. It lasted 30 seconds. It wasn't a fight. It was an execution. Victor didn't even use technique. He used brute athleticism. He caught Kenji's telegraph kick, swept his remaining leg, and slammed the dojo master into the mats with a thud that shook the dust from the rafters. As Kenji tried to rise, Victor slapped him. Not a punch, a disrespectfully open-handed slap, sending him sprawling back down. Pathetic, Victor spat, looming over the groaning master. This is what you charge people for? Dancing lessons. The students were frozen. Mr. Henderson looked like he was about to cry. The teenage boys were terrified. The camera was zooming in on Kenji's humiliated face. Victor turned to the camera, arms spread wide. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a wrap. Traditional arts are dead. This building is a corpse. I'm doing the world a favor by bulldozing it. He began to strut around the room, high on adrenaline and ego. He kicked over a rack of wooden practice swords. He grabbed a hanging scroll of calligraphy, an heirloom from the 1800s, and ripped it from the wall, tossing it aside like trash. That was when he saw her. Madam Lin was in the corner. She had a bucket of soapy water and a gray rag. She had been wiping down the wooden pillars, seemingly oblivious to the violence that had just occurred. When Victor ripped the scroll down, it landed near her bucket. She didn't look up. She just bent down, picked up the scroll, dusted it off with agonizing slowness, and placed it gently on a bench. Then, she picked up her rag and went back to the pillar. Victor stopped. The indifference bothered him. Everyone else was cowering or filming. This old woman was treating him like background noise. Hey, Victor barked. Grandma. Madam Lin continued scrubbing a smudge on the wood. Scrub, scrub, pause. Scrub, scrub, pause. Victor stepped closer, his shadow engulfing her tiny frame. I'm talking to you. You deaf? I just bought this place. That means I bought you too. Give me a water. Madam Lin stopped scrubbing. She slowly turned her head. Her eyes were milky with age, but they held a terrifying stillness. She looked at Victor's shoes on her pristine mats. Shoes, she whispered. Her voice was like dry leaves scraping together. Off. The cameraman stifled a laugh. Victor blinked, genuinely surprised. Then, a cruel smile spread across his face. This was gold. This was viral content. The delusions of the elderly. Shoes off. Victor mocked, crouching down so his face was inches from hers. Or what? You gonna hit me with your rag? Look at you. You're shaking. You should be in a home, not cleaning up after a loser like Kenji. He stood up and, with a casual flick of his foot, kicked her water bucket over. Gray, soapy water splashed everywhere. Over the mats, over the hem of Madam Lin's trousers, and over the fallen scroll she had just rescued. The dojo went silent. Even the cameraman stopped moving. It was a line crossed. Beating the master was one thing. Abusing the elderly helper was another. Clean it up, Victor sneered, pointing at the puddle. And then get out. I want this place empty in 10 minutes. Madam Lin looked at the overturned bucket. She looked at the water soaking into the tatami she had maintained for 60 years. She looked at Kenji, who was struggling to sit up, blood trickling from his lip. I am sorry, Kenji, she said softly. I promised your father I would stay retired. I promised I would just be the cleaner. Kenji's eyes widened. And don't. He will kill you. Victor laughed. Auntie? Oh, this is rich. Come on, Annie. Show me what you got. I'll give you a free shot. Right here. He tapped his granite chin. Madam Lin sighed. It was a deep, weary sound. She reached down, not for the bucket, but for the mop handle leaning against the wall. It was a standard, cheap industrial mop with a gray plastic head. You have dirted my floor, she said, her voice suddenly losing its rasp. It became clear, resonant, and shockingly cold. And your posture is terrible. Victor snorted. My post to. He didn't finish the word. Madam Lin didn't swing the mop like a weapon. She didn't scream or power up. She stepped. One step. But it was a step that covered 6 feet of distance in a blink, completely bypassing Victor's visual processing speed. She drove the blunt, rubberized end of the mop handle into the soft triangle of flesh right above Victor's hip bone, the femoral nerve cluster. It wasn't a brutal hit. It was precise. Victor's leg turned off. It buckled as if the bone had dissolved. He gasped, pitching forward, his balance shattered. What the? Victor scrambled, his elite athleticism kicking in. He tried to lunge at her, a massive right hook aimed to take her head off. Madam Lin didn't block. Blocking requires strength. She wasn't there anymore. She pivoted on one heel, a movement so smooth it looked like she was on ice, and the hook sailed through empty air. As Victor's momentum carried him forward, Madam Lin gently placed the mop head against his leading ankle and pulled back just an inch. At the same time, she put her small, calloused hand on the back of his tricep and pushed just an ounce. Physics took over. The mighty Victor Vance, the Viper, the destroyer of dojos, face planted into the soapy water with the grace of a drunk falling off a bar stool. The silence in the dojo now was different. It wasn't fearful. It was confused. Victor roared, scrambling to his knees, water dripping from his expensive nose. You lucky old witch. I'm going to break you. He rushed her. This was a mistake. In martial arts, anger makes you predictable. Victor came in with a double-leg takedown, looking to slam her. Madam Lin looked bored. As he dove for her legs, she sidestepped, creating an angle that shouldn't have been possible for a woman with arthritis. As his head passed her waist, she didn't strike him. She hooked the handle of the mop under his armpit and levered it across his neck. She used him like a fulcrum. With a simple twist of her hips, she redirected his 240 pounds of forward momentum into a spiraling circle. Victor spun in the air, literally spun, before crashing on his back. Before he could inhale, Madam Lin stepped onto his chest. She didn't stomp. She just placed her foot there. But to Victor, it felt like an elephant had just sat down. She had locked her knee and aligned her hip, driving her entire body weight through the heel into his solar plexus. He couldn't breathe. He wheezed, clawing at her ankle, but she was immovable. She was rooted to the earth. The silver crane style is not about fighting, Madam Lin said, looking down at him as if he were a particularly stubborn stain. It is about cleaning, removing the dirt, removing the ego, removing the trash. She looked at the cameraman, who was trembling, filming everything. Are you recording? She asked. The cameraman nodded vigorously. Good. Zoom in. She leaned down, grabbing Victor's ear, not gently. She twisted it like she was tuning a radio. Victor squealed, a high-pitched sound that did not match his tattoos. You have strong muscles, she lectured, loud enough for the microphone to pick up. But your center of gravity is too high. You rely on fear, so you overcommit. You have no root. A tree with no root falls in the wind. Or in this case, she nudged his nose with the mop handle. In the soap. Victor tried to buck her off. Get off me. Do you know who I am? I know who you are, Madam Lin said calmly. You are the boy who wore shoes in my house. She applied a sudden, sharp pressure to a nerve point behind his ear. Victor's entire body went limp, paralyzed by a jolt of bioelectric pain that short-circuited his nervous system. Kinji, she called out, not looking away from Victor. Yes, Auntie. Kinji stammered, standing up, looking at the old cleaner with absolute awe. Bring me the contract he brought. Kinji scrambled, grabbed the soggy paper from the floor, and handed it to her. Madam Lin looked at Victor. You want to buy this place? I'll sue you. Victor wheezed. Assault. I'll sue you for everything. You attacked a 79-year-old cleaning lady on camera, Madam Lin pointed out. And she mopped the floor with you. Literally. If you release this footage, or if you sue, the world will see that Victor the Viper was defeated by a grandmother with a janitorial tool. Your career will be over. Your sponsors will laugh at you. You will be a meme. Victor froze. The horror of the situation dawned on him. She was right. He couldn't post this. He couldn't tell the police. A geriatric pacifist had beaten him. It was career suicide. What do you want? Victor whispered, his ego finally deflating. Apologize to the master, she said, pointing to Kenji. Victor gritted his teeth. I apologize. Louder. From the diaphragm. I apologize. Good. Now, apologize to the floor. What? You disrespected the floor? Apologize. Victor Vance, the MMA star, lowered his forehead to the wet, soapy tatami mat. I apologize to the floor. Excellent. Madam Lin stepped off his chest. Take your shoes. Take your camera. Take your contract. And if you ever come back to this district, I will not be so gentle. I will use the bleach. Victor scrambled up, slipping twice on the soap. He grabbed his shoes, not daring put them on. He didn't look at his cameraman. He didn't look at Kenji. He ran. He actually ran out the door, into the rain, barefoot. The cameraman and the hype man followed, dragging their equipment, terrified that the old lady might decide to clean them next. The dojo was silent again. Kenji looked at Madam Lin. The students looked at Madam Lin. She stood there, holding her mop. She looked at the puddle of water. She sighed, her shoulders slumping back into the posture of a frail, old woman. Auntie, Kenji whispered. I didn't know. Father never said. Your father was a loudmouth, she muttered, dipping the mop back into the bucket she had upright. He liked the glory. I just like the technique. Now, stop gawking. We have class. Mr. Henderson, your stance is too wide. Fix it. She went back to scrubbing the floor. That evening, the video didn't go up on Victor's channel. But the cameraman, apparently loyal to no one, leaked a clip to a forum. It was just 10 seconds, the moment Madam Lin spun Victor like a top. The Silver Crane Dojo didn't close. In fact, by next week, the line of people wanting to sign up will wrap around the block. They didn't want to learn from Kenji, though. They all wanted to know if the mop lady was accepting disciples. She wasn't, but she did let them help with the cleaning. 2 weeks later, a package arrived at the dojo addressed to Madam Lin. Inside was a brand new, high-tech industrial floor polisher, along with a note from Victor Vance. The note read, Please don't tell anyone about the crying. Madam Lin looked at the expensive machine, turned it on, listened to the loud hum, and immediately frowned. Too noisy, she said. She sold it on eBay for $2,000 and used the money to buy a new tea set and a lifetime supply of heavy-duty mop heads. Because, as she always told the students, technology breaks. Gravity is forever. I have to ask you guys, if you were in Victor's shoes, sitting on the floor, beaten by a grandmother holding a mop, would you have kept the secret, or would you have admitted defeat just to learn her technique? If this story brought a smile to your face, or made you want to call your grandma and apologize for not visiting, please smash that like button. It helps the channel more than a spinning back kick. Drop a comment below with your answer to the question, and don't forget to subscribe for more tales of humble masters and arrogant fools. I'm your host, and until next time, remember to take your shoes off at the door. See you in the next video.